Hello everyone, welcome back to the second episode of Apta Stories. Before going into the podcast, first let me appreciate all the UX designers out there for making the impossible possible every single time. And we are having one such person here.
Hello everyone, I'm Prathyusha. I'm a UX designer at Aptagrim Limited, and I'm today here with my friend Anirudh, the social media guy, to talk about design.
Prathyusha, before going deep into the podcast, what actually UX mean to you?
Okay, so I would like to say that UX is all about problem solving, and most of the people have confusion about difference between the UX and UI. I would like to say that they are very different, but yet they are very same, and they're very much overlapping. There is no UX without UI, and there is no UI without UX. They both go hand in hand. So to sum up, I would like to say it's encompasses all the end user interactions with the organization, its product or a service. And if UI is a destination, then UX is a journey.
Well framed, actually. Okay. When did you decide to become an UX designer?
Okay, that's a very tricky question. I always wanted to be a designer from my childhood. I thought being a designer is a very fancy job, and it's about making things beautiful. Little did I know that design is not about making things beautiful, or it's not about how it looks or how it feels. It's more about how it works. So yeah, I always wanted to be a designer.
There are many fields in design, right? For example, graphic designing, visual design. Why just UX? Why did you choose just UX?
Okay, so yeah, as I told that I was very interested in design. I pursued my 4-year degree in design, and then I entered UX because I'm very passionate about combining digital thinking with technology to solve real world problems. I get a chance to create functional, aesthetic, accessible as well as usable experiences to solve the problem. So yeah, that is why I love being a UX designer.
Okay, this might seem to be a mediocre question, but I have heard every answer as a unique from the design perspective. How do you design? What's your process in just 3 words?
Okay, in just 3 words, that's tricky because design is a very elaborate process. Every designer would have their own process, if I could say, and every design problem has its own process. I mean, it requires tweaking in the process here and there. So just in 3 words, I would like to say 3 phases mainly. We'll start with the project scope and research. Then we'll go into ideation and design. And the end stage is launch and measuring the metrics. So yeah, it's like a cyclic process and not a very linear one.
Okay, 2 theoretical. Okay, how do you know that, for example, a website is having good UX?
Okay, yeah. How good a UX is we can say when how conveniently we are able to use a product. In the design terms, it's called the usability. So a usability of a website depends mainly upon the 5 components. If I want to go to technical, 1, learnability, how fast the user is able to know what action to perform, how efficiently they're able to do it, how many errors are they making while doing it, and what is the memorability of that product and satisfaction which they get after using that product. So these are the components which are depending and which they affect the whole user experience. And how can we know if that's a good usability is we have certain tests called as usability testing, where we test the potential users of that product by giving them certain tasks so that we know that if they are it's satisfying the criteria. And we also have something called as heuristic evaluation. So there are 10 heuristics or heuristic principles which we test the design against to know if the design is working for the people whom we are designing for. I would like to list a few. For example, there is a heuristic principle that we should always prevent the user from making a mistake, and if it or error, if we can say, if at all they have made an error, how we are bringing them out of that. That is one such heuristic principle. And we should always know the system status. Design should always be consistent, and there are many such heuristic principles. So yeah.
Okay. And what is the most important quality a designer should possess? This will actually help the design aspirants who are watching the podcast.
Right. So I would like to say empathy is really important for a designer. Empathizing with the users will let us know their needs, because at the end of the day, we are designing a product for the users and we want to satisfy their needs. So empathy is really important quality in the designer.
Okay, that's good. Okay, I have seen you you and Kirtan working on different projects. For example, different websites and applications. There are multiple phases in the designing part, right? What is that one phase which stands out?
Okay. Every phase is really important to get the result. Every phase, I would say, as I listed the 3 phases, all three phases are important. But what is most important is the research phase, or the phase where we are trying to understand the project scope is really important, according to me. Because at the stage of research, we are making a foundational research about the problem, and that is the point where we know about the user's needs, and we exactly know what are we trying to solve. So understanding that would make a lot of impact on the design. And yes, I think that research is really important.
Okay, headshot, know it before you do it.
Exactly.
Okay, now coming to the real life experiences. What is that one mistake which you have made and what you have learned from it?
I would like to say that I have made more than one mistakes, and making mistakes is the best thing as a designer, because you can learn. And definitely you should own your mistakes to do that. My biggest mistake would be while designing, I always concentrate on research, design, and the information architecture, the usability tests we are running. And we always lose out on the fact that at the end of the day, it's a business. We want users and customers to use the product as much as possible. We want to build a business. And for that, most important thing is to write a compelling narrative. And the storytelling is really important. So writing a very good UX copy is really important. And as user experience designers, we should create an omni-channel experience that covers the business aspect of it.
Okay. Future is always fancy, right? What is the future in design?
Okay. Yes, design is really evolving and ever evolving, like any other field. But being a designer, you should always be on the go, I can say, because there is a new trend coming up every 2 months, I can say. There is sustainable design, there are low-code platforms that are coming up, and there are several new trends like Aurora. Google has invented a new color system. Like, we use always hue, saturation, and lightness. That's the standard. But now they have design a new color system based on perception, the hue, chroma, and tone. So these kinds of things keep popping up. So the only thing is to keep evolving, keep learning. It's like survival of the fittest.
Perfectly said. Okay. This question might give a smile to the viewers who are watching. Mainly it connects to the developers and designers. Everywhere you go to LinkedIn, social media, you find the memes a lot with the relationship between the designers and developers. What is the relationship between a designer and developer according to you?
Okay. Yes, we do see a lot of memes, and from the both the parties keep blaming each other. If the product hasn't turned out how we expected, we say the developers have goofed up, and they keep blaming us. So yeah, having a good relationship with developers is really important, because at the end of the day, we both are trying to solve the same problem. And if you have just designed and let it go, then it wouldn't be in the market. So developers have to come into the play to develop and deploy it for the users to use it. So one such gesture would be to making a clean handoff document. So handoff document is like a technical document where we give specifications, where we explain the user flows, and we explain the core of the project, and then we hand it over to the developers. So that is, I would like to say, have good relationships with your developers.
Glad you both are fighting in my platform, and you're not involved me inside it.
I would like to say that social media plays really an important role as well. As I already quoted, like, you are the people who just keep the fire burning.
Okay. Usually, dealing with creative blocks is something which most of the design aspirants are looking for. Can you give any suggestion for them?
Okay, not only creative people, but every field, every person suffers from burnout, especially in the corporate, because we are always on the go and always hustling to get. So, I mean, our brain needs a break. So I would like to say it's okay to step away from the tasks at some time and just go chill out and clear your mind and come back and start doing what you're doing. Because even if you're working and yes, it's important to meet the deadlines and everything, but once in a while it's okay to step away from all the all the things which we are doing, all the tasks, and just go clear your mind, come back and start working fresh.
Exactly. Okay, now let's add some fire to the podcast. This is a rapid fire. The answer should be really quick. UX in one word.
Problem solving.
Do UX designers need coding?
The answer would be no, but yes, we do need a good understanding of coding to survive.
Design role in NFTs?
Content creation.
Did you mint anyone?
No, I didn't mint any design, but I do have plans for that. Did you buy anything?
No, waiting for your design actually. Your go-to font or color?
You choose font based on what message or what design language you want to convey to the users. What is the message that you want users to feel while seeing your product? So I would like to say my favorite would be any sans serif font, which is humanist. Okay, that's being too technical. I would like to say Gil Sans, Product Sans, all sans fonts are my favorite, and same with the color.
Favorite UX tool?
Okay, Figma. And one thing I would like to specify, irrespective of any tool, I mean, design is something which is skill dependent or not tool dependent. So yeah.
Okay, one point where a designer should start their UX journey.
Knowing good principles and where the designer started, the design history is really important. People start, if they want to transition into UX or they want to start their UX journey, people directly start practicing. I mean, yes, I'm not saying the practice is not important, but they start designing screens without having a good knowledge of what they're doing actually. And you can only respect your job if you know, it's like you cannot love someone without knowing their past. So you have to know what's the design history, and you should really learn about art history and then start researching about what you want to do, what exactly you are wishing, because this is a very complex field, because there is product design, there is interaction design, there is UX, UI, motion graphics and everything, but you have to know in which you are interested in. So
okay, this is the last question and I think this is very lengthy. Okay, we'll sum up. Actually, that's a great one. Thanks for joining the podcast, Prathyusha.
This was my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
That's it for today. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for the next podcast.